We'll look now at the right to be forgotten, data erasure. This has caused a lot of concern for schools where they believe that pupils or parents can come in and because they don't want to allow us to have the data anymore, we'd have to just simply erase it because of this right to be forgotten, this data erasure right. It's not as simple as that. They only have the right to have their data erased if there's no other reason to retain that data. Within school, obviously, we have to retain their data while they're with us because we can't operate the school any other way. So it's not as simple as them simply coming to us and saying, I want you to erase my data. There has to be no reason for you to keep it. Where it could be is if you had worked on consent and they withdraw their consent, in which case they can say, yes, and I want that data erased because it was based on consent and they've withdrawn it. But that will be a very rare occurrence in schools. Most of the times we'll be working on the legal basis of being in the public interest. We need to operate the school, therefore we need to keep the data. It's really important to make sure you know your retention policies. We always recommend the IRMS toolkit, the Information Records Management Society toolkit. If you know that you have to keep, for example, the vast majority of your data in a secondary school until the age that the pupil would have reached 25, when a pupil comes to you at 18, 19 and says, I left your school 2 years ago, I want you to erase all my data, it's a very easy answer. I'm sorry, legally I have to keep it until you're 25. Come back in 5 or 6 years' time. Very easy way to deal with the data erasure request. So it's important to make sure you do know your retention policies. It's also important to make sure you've got a process for this in place, similar to the way you'd have a process for subject access requests. Who is it that's going to deal with it if you do get a data erasure request? First step, is there any reason not to comply with that data erasure request? An example is, I have to retain that data for certain reasons. If you've got to retain it because it's retention policy, legal requirement, etc., financial data for 7 years, for example, then it's a very simple answer. If, on the other hand, there is no reason to keep that data, maybe the pupil is now 30 years of age, you have still got the information in the systems, you are going to have to erase it. And that means erasing it from all of your systems and erasing it securely. So that will mean going through your management information system, emails, archives, backups, and making sure that you erase all the information that you can, that you have about that person. Obviously, backups are very difficult. Backups tend to be an image of the information rather than individual files. And so what schools will probably do is say, well, we've erased all the data we had on you on our live systems. We believe there could be some information about you on our backup systems. And if we were ever to use our backup, when that data becomes live, we'll erase that data on you at that point, because you can't erase it directly from the backups. The other thing to remember is you may have shared this data with others. You might have it stored in other third-party processing software. Make sure they are aware of it. They will have to also get rid of all that data for you.